From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. expressed the Philippines' readiness to forge cooperation with global partners to address plastic pollution, which he described as emblematic of this new era of challenges. President Marcos acknowledged that the plastic waste crisis affects biodiversity, public health, supply chains, and the lives of coastal and urban communities, and requires the use of technology that is credible, scalable, and grounded in rigorous science to address the problem. He welcomed the nuclear technology for controlling plastic pollution or New Tech Plastics initiative of the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, as a very important solution to a very difficult problem that we face locally and globally. President Marcos said the launch of the New Tech Plastics Investment and Partnership brochure outlines pathways for governments, industries, and research agencies to scale up investment in nuclear science for environmental protection and industry growth. He noted that the work under New Tech Plastics complements the Philippines' broader cooperation with the IAEA in food and water security, health, agriculture, energy, and disaster resilience. The President noted that the recent signing of Republic Act or RA 12305, or the Philippine Nuclear Law, signals the country's readiness for deeper science-driven cooperation with international partners. RA 12305 is the country's first comprehensive regulatory framework covering nuclear safety, security, safeguards, and the peaceful applications of nuclear technology. President Marcos, who will serve as Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN chair in 2026, said New Tech Plastics can serve as a model for the regional bloc's collaboration on science-based solutions to transboundary problems.
New Tech Plastic embodies the kind of innovation that we need. Solutions that merge advanced nuclear applications with environmental protection to translate scientific progress into tangible benefits for industry and for society. Science does not progress in isolation. It advances through networks of regulators, scientists, investors, community stakeholders, and the Philippines is committed to building such networks locally and across all borders. As we assume the ASEAN chairship for 2026, technology and sustainability will form a central part of our leadership agenda. The ASEAN Network of Regulatory Bodies on Atomic Energy, ASEAN-TOM, is already a very strong platform. We intend to expand its work, enhancing nuclear science literacy, laboratory networks, and regulatory harmonization across the region.
Established in 1957 and headquartered in Vienna, the IAEA is the world's central organization for nuclear cooperation, safety, security, and verification. It operates under the motto Atoms for Peace and Development and serves as a global steward for the peaceful, safe, and secure use of nuclear science and technology. In 2021, the IAEA launched the New Tech Plastics Initiative to help countries use nuclear science to monitor and reduce plastic pollution. The program now supports more than 100 member states, including the Philippines, in tracking microplastics in coastal areas, identifying different types of plastics, and applying reliable, cost-effective laboratory methods based on harmonized global protocols. It also trains scientists and promotes radiation technologies that turn low-value plastic waste into useful materials. The Philippines is one of 9 pilot countries leading the world in the plastics upcycling component of New Tech Plastics. The flagship Philippine project for this purpose is the Post-Radiation Reactive Extrusion or PREX initiative of the Department of Science and Technology Philippine Nuclear Research Institute or DOST-PNRI, which uses radiation to upcycle difficult plastics.
Dateline Malacañang.
In related news, the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, is eager to help the Philippines identify the right systems and technologies to support its nuclear energy ambitions. Speaking on the sidelines of the International High-Level Forum on Nuclear Technology, or NUTEC Plastics in Pasay City, IAEA Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi cited alternatives and newer nuclear technologies beyond power plants, including small modular reactors, or SMRs, that countries like the Philippines could tap. Grossi, who paid a courtesy call on Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., said the chief executive is very enthusiastic about nuclear energy, which gives the country fair advantage if it is to achieve its target to integrate nuclear in its energy mix by 2032. The Philippines aims to have commercially operational nuclear power plants by 2032, with at least 1,200 megawatts initially entering the country's power mix to gradually increase to 4,800 megawatts by 2050. Beyond power, Grossi said the IAEA is fully committed to support Manila in exploring wider peaceful applications of nuclear science, including in addressing plastic pollution. Grossi and President Marcos led the opening of the two-day high-level gathering, bringing together ranking officials and foreign investors to examine how nuclear science and radiation technologies can support countries in recycling difficult plastics. The Philippines is one of 9 pilot countries leading the work on radiation-enabled plastics upcycling and is set to showcase the post-radiation reactive extrusion PREX prototype house today. The PREX project, led by the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Nuclear Research Institute, or DOST PNRI, uses electron beam radiation to modify the polymer structure of mixed and low-value plastic waste, which can then be processed into tiles, bricks, and structural panels. The PREX prototype house, a first-of-its-kind structure located at the PNRI compound in Quezon City, is designed as a typical Filipino residence and will be used as a live test bed for environmental exposure, structural performance, and long-term degradation studies. In the same conference, Grossi signed a new agreement with the Asian Development Bank, or ADB, that will strengthen the latter's technical understanding of nuclear power. The IAEA chief said this deal will help countries in the region access financing and expertise to meet their energy demand with nuclear power.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. praised the country's first grid-connected utility-scale solar rooftop installation erected within a socialized housing complex in Cavite, describing it as a standard for the country's expedited transition to renewable energy. President Marcos visited the 6.55 megawatt peak Ningning solar rooftop power facility in Pasinayan Homes Prime Central, or PHPC, created by the Joy Nostalgia Group, Jean Navita Solaris Incorporated, or Solaris, and Raymulan Lands Incorporated. The facility taps the rooftops of 1,986 residences, each with 6 solar panels. According to President Marcos, this initiative is the world's first grid-connected solar power system located within a communal housing neighborhood. The project has a net export capacity of 4.95 MW, which equates to around 9,182 megawatt hours of annual energy, enough to power over 7,900 homes. Power is pumped into the Meralco grid and regularly monitored to ensure safe and consistent transmission. The president emphasized the system's environmental benefits, citing an annual reduction of 6,233 metric tons of carbon dioxide. The project's design avoids converting agricultural land, which is becoming increasingly crucial in Luzon as grid demand rises. The plant has already received worldwide recognition, winning gold for ESG integration excellence and silver for Sustainable Renewable Energy Initiative of the Year at the 2025 Asian Power Awards. The project is consistent With the Department of Energy's goals for the Green Energy Auction Program, or GEA4, the Renewable Portfolio Standards, and the Sustainable Finance Framework, all of which aim to increase the renewable percentage of the national energy mix. The Philippines aims to achieve 35% renewable energy by 2030 and 50% by 2040. President Marcos noted that the project exemplifies the creative and innovative solutions needed as the country confronts climate concerns and the global shift away from fossil fuels. The Joy Nostalgia Foundation supports the effort by funding community activities such as roof repair, street lighting, garbage management, shared solar facilities, and residential capacity building. President Marcos emphasized that the Cavite project might serve as a model for future installations throughout the Philippines. The president also pledged to improve government processes to encourage more renewable investment.
It's an initiative that is a monumental one as it lights up homes and the path forward to the country's energy transition. Sa pamamagitan ng Ningning Project, nakakabawas tayo ng mahigit 6,000 metriko na tonelada ng carbon dioxide emission kada taon. Para tayong nag-alis ng halos 1,000 sasakyan sa ating mga kalsada. You have managed to bring Filipino innovation to the world stage. And for that is a very important step for the Philippines and, for that matter, the solutions that we are trying to find. When we talk about climate change, when we talk about the shift from fossil fuels to renewables in terms of our power production, we always have to say that this is a new situation that we have never faced before. And therefore, we must come up, we must be creative and be able to find a different solutions. And we cannot continue to do the same things that we did before. On our end as the government, we will continue improving our processes so we can promote and support and accelerate more innovative renewable energy projects just like this.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has urged Filipinos to make respect, consent, and fairness everyday practices as the country launches its annual 18-day campaign to end violence against women, or VOW, amidst ongoing worries over gender-based abuses nationwide. According to President Marcos, the campaign serves as a reminder that expanding women's rights must be a perpetual mission and advocacy. He underlined that women's safety and well-being are critical to national growth. President Marcos also praised the Philippine Commission on Women, or PCW, for its ongoing efforts to implement and promote legislation protecting women's rights and empowerment. He asked individuals and government officials to be attentive and emphatic in assisting women who are abused. The president also urged the public to challenge words and habits that harm and to lead with fairness, saying that cultural change is critical to preventing violence. The annual 18-day campaign to end VOW, which runs from November 25 to December 12, combines with the United Nations international efforts to abolish violence against women and girls. It is led by the PCW in collaboration with national and local government agencies, non-governmental organizations, and community groups.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. welcomed the 5 newly designated non-resident ambassadors from Tunisia, Paraguay, Burkina Faso, the Marshall Islands, and Serbia, affirming the Philippines' commitment to deepening bilateral relations and international cooperation. President Marcos received the credentials of Ambassadors Mohamed Trabelsi of Tunisia, Miguel Angel Ubaldino Romero Alvarez of Paraguay, Bibata Nebi Uwadraw Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, Anjanette Katil, the Marshall Islands, and Ivana Golovic Duboka of Serbia in a ceremony at the Malacañang Palace in Manila. In a statement, the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO, said a presentation of credentials marks the official start of the ambassador's diplomatic tenure. The PCO expressed optimism that the accreditation of the new ambassadors to the Philippines opens fresh opportunities for collaboration across political, economic, and cultural fronts. The Philippines has maintained diplomatic relations with Tunisia since 1975, Paraguay 1962, Burkina Faso 2002, the Marshall Islands 1988, and Serbia 1972. Over the years, the partnerships have fostered trade, educational exchanges, and cultural understanding.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Presidential Communications Office, PCO Acting Secretary Dave Gomez urged the public to keep track of the infrastructure projects of the Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, through the newly launched Enhanced Transparency Portal. In an interview, Gomez said the improved DPWH Transparency Portal is an expanded and more accessible version of the Sumbong sa Pangulo platform, allowing the public to monitor government infrastructure projects and report suspected irregularities. Gomez said the AI-driven portal offers a wider scope of information and a more user-friendly interface to make it easier for citizens to report possible anomalies in infrastructure projects, including substandard work. Gomez said new portal goes beyond earlier functions that focused mainly on flood control projects, noting that users can search for any DPWH project and view critical details such as the implementing office, contractor, project cost, and project status. Asked whether the new platform would eventually replace the Office of the President's Sumbong sa Pangulo website, Gomez said a shift will happen naturally once most reports are turned over and citizens transition to the DPWH managed system. Gomez stressed that while the portal is housed under the DPWH and developed in partnership with the Department of Information and Communications Technology, the OP will still have visibility over the system. The DPWH Transparency Portal is expected to strengthen public participation, deter corruption, and enhance accountability in the implementation of infrastructure projects nationwide. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. unveiled the DPWH Transparency Portal on Monday as part of ongoing reforms to curb corruption in public infrastructure projects. President Marcos said his campaign against anomalous flood control and other infrastructure projects by launching the Sumbong sa Pangulo website on August 11.
Dateline Malacañang.
In related news, the Department of the Interior and Local Government, DILG Secretary Juanito Victor, John Vic Remulla, said more big names implicated in the flood control corruption scandal will be arrested in the coming weeks. Remulla was referring to the La Catedral prison in Medellin, Colombia, which was built to specifications ordered by Medellin cartel. He said of the 8 suspects arrested thus far, 6 are now at the new Quezon City Jail male dormitory in Payatas. Gerald Bacana, Jean Ryan Altea, Ruben De Los Santos Jr., Dominic Serrano, Felizardo Casuno, and Engineer Dennis Abagon. Meanwhile, Lerma Caico is detained at the Camp Caringal female dormitory. All 7 will undergo trial for plunder, anti-graft violations, and indirect bribery before the 6th and 7th Divisions of the Office of the Ombudsman. One suspect, Juliet Calvo, was allowed to post bail for falsification of documents and will undergo trial before the 5th Division of the Office of the Ombudsman. For suspects who remain at large in the United States and Qatar, Remulla said they have until Thursday to surrender to the nearest Philippine Philippine Embassy. Remulla said locating alleged flood control mastermind and former Ako Bicol Representative Zaldico has been challenging because he holds two passports. He said Philippine National Police tracker teams have been deployed after confirming his recent movement in the United States, Europe, Singapore, Spain, Portugal, and Japan. Meanwhile, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology Director Ruel Rivera said the detained suspects will receive the same food and water as all other inmates, access to 24-hour in-house medical services, and the same visitation rights as all other inmates. The PNP meanwhile, warned individuals who may be harboring or assisting those accused that such actions will not go unpunished. PNP Acting Chief Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates said police units implementing the arrest warrants were already instructed to prepare and file criminal charges against those who would be confirmed to have coddled the accused in the graft and malversation cases.
Dateline Malacañang.
On tropical depression verbena updates, National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRIMC, on Tuesday reported that close to 47,000 persons have so far been affected by the combined effects of tropical depression verbena and the prevailing shear line. In its latest situational report, the NDRIMC said 46,923 affected individuals, equivalent to 15,363 families, are from 44 barangays in Region 13, Caraga. As of Tuesday morning, 485 families are being sheltered in 19 evacuation centers, while another 14 families are being aided in other places. Around 59 ports in 5 regions have suspended sailing operations due to the inclement weather. No casualties or damage have been reported.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, has started distributing boxes of ready-to-eat food, or RTEF, to stranded passengers in various ports affected by tropical depression verbena. Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao of the Disaster Response and Management Group on Tuesday said 94 locally stranded individuals, or LSIs, at Dalahican Port in Lucena City, Quezon, have received RTEF boxes from the DSWD Calabarzon Field Office. In Negros Occidental, DSWD Negros Island Region, or NIR, distributed RTEF boxes to 100 LSIs at Bacolod Real Estate Development Corporation Port. Meanwhile, in Surigao City Port, Dumlao said 39 LSIs received food boxes from DSWD Caraga. Each RTEF box has 5 cans of tuna paella, 1 can of chicken pastil, 1 can of ground pork, 2 packs of varos caldo, 3 packs of champorado, 2 protein biscuits, and infant food item. In addition to the RTEF boxes, food and non-food assistance amounting to 38,454 pesos was delivered to Surigao del Norte. The DSWD and the concerned local government units have been monitoring the conditions of 1,832 families, or 5,580 individuals currently in 61 evacuation centers in NIR and Caraga.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine National Police, or PNP Acting Chief Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. said disaster response units have been fully activated and are ready to respond to emergencies amid the threats of tropical depression verbena. All officers assigned to affected areas are tasked to follow strict safety protocols to ensure assistance reaches those in need. Nartates also urged residents to stay indoors, avoid flooded areas, monitor weather updates, and prepare emergency kits. Tropical depression verbena has passed over Guimaras and southwestern Panay and is now over the Sulu Sea, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration said in its bulletin.
Dateline Malacañang.
3 transmission lines in the Visayas affected by Tropical Depression Verbena have been restored as of 1 in the afternoon Tuesday, but one remain unavailable, the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, or NGCP, reported. Restored are the Ubay Garcia 69 kilovolt line, which services the Bohol 2 Electric Cooperative Incorporated, or Boheco 2. The Iloilo-La Paz 69 kilovolt line, which serves the More Electric and Power Corporation. The Iloilo 1 Electric Cooperative Incorporated, or ILECO 1, and the Santa Barbara Miagao San Joaquin 69 kilovolt line. The NGCP, however, said the Paranas Kinapondan 69 kilovolt line, which serves the Eastern Samar Electric Cooperative Incorporated, or ESA Melcor, remains unavailable. Based on the 2 p.m. bulletin of the Weather Bureau, the center of the eye of Verbena was estimated over the coastal waters of Magsaysay, Palawan, moving westward at 35 kilometers per hour and packing maximum sustained winds of 55 kilometers near the center and gustiness of up to 70 kilometers per hour.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the Bureau of Fire Protection, or BFP, topped the Philippine Best Employers 2026 list, with the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, ranked 7th and the Supreme Court, or SC, ranked 17th, according to a survey by media company in partnership with German market firm Statista. The Philippines Best Employers 2026 list is based on an independent survey of more than 16,000 employees from companies with at least 250 employees. Respondents answered anonymously through online platforms, ensuring unbiased feedback. The final tally lists the top 300 employers in the country, grouped in 28 industries. The BFP garnered a score of 9.27 out of a perfect 10. AFP 9.6 and SC 8.93, according to a news release. The BFE also topped the list in 2024, while SC was 5th. In the 2025 list, BFP was number 3, SC number 8, and AFP number 27. Private life insurance company Insular Life was number 2 overall with a grade of 9.24. The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology 8.74 was number 35. Technical and Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA 8.58, was number 58, and Government Service Insurance System 8.67 was number 60. Chief Justice Alexander Guzman previously emphasized that beyond fulfilling its core judicial mandate, the SC remains steadfast in its commitment to being one of the best institutions to work for in the country. He said programs such as healthcare, mental health support, administrative reforms, digital innovation, and professional development establish the SC as a benchmark of public sector excellence and demonstrate its dedication to valuing its workforce.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.